is a state issue, and this is an issue that the people of the state of Texas overwhelmingly support. And so I don't know who she's playing to, but she's not playing to the people of Texas, and I don't think she's playing to the Americans that believe that the sanctity of the vote is really important, and you need to have a photo ID to go vote. It's that simple. The people of Texas wanted it, and whichever state Hillary Clinton considers to be her home state,
what about her
she goes home and she argues there not to have it.
All right, folks, that was a very good point made by former governor of Texas. Joining us now is the one and only Dick Morris, political consultant, Newsmax contributor, author of Power Grab, Obama's Dangerous Plan for a One-Party Nation. It's on your screen, and now Dick Morris will be on your screen. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you,
Always
Steve.
good to see you in person. All right, so, Hillary made those remarks about that they want to stop blacks from voting and young people from voting, old people from voting. Like a day after the Rasmussen poll came out that showed 76% of Americans want voter ID, including a majority of Democrats. So who exactly is she playing to?
Well, when you get to voter ID, photo ID, you're not talking there about an issue where she's trying to get up the approval of the electorate. The Democratic Party needs this law to be repealed. They need there not to be photo ID because it's the key in their effort to commit voter fraud. There was a comprehensive study of the state of North Carolina, and they found that 75,000 North Carolinians voted in another state. Now, they didn't vote in another state. What happened is that Richard S. Morris, born on blah, 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 moved from New York to North Carolina, and he voted in North Carolina. But then the person with the same first and last name and birth date also voted in New York. And what happened was that when I left, I wasn't removed from the voter roll, and Joe Blow walked in, accompanied by an Acorn organizer, and he said, "Oh, I'm Richard Morris, right, here's my birth date." And unless you have photo ID, you can't stop that. Now, just think, McCain lost North Carolina by fewer than 75,000 votes. And if you apply this all over the country, this is a decisive factor in the Democratic game plan. So photo ID is not an issue where the Democrats are trying to win points. It's an issue where they're trying to get fraudulent votes.
Very good point. And you hear the mantra from the Democratic Party is that in 15 years there's been 35 cases of voter fraud. I mean, how do they get away with that over and over again?
What that shows is that nobody's prosecuting it. In fact, when Bush's U.S. attorneys were going to prosecute it, Karl Rove was skewered for having engineered their appointments because voter fraud isn't supposed to be prosecuted. This is horrible. Now, some of the other early voting proposals make sense. It does make sense to have the polls open for the weekend before the Tuesday. Sure, it does. But same-day registration, where you just walk up out of the blue and you register, and not photo ID. Of course, the state has to pay for the photo ID. But why don't the states just do one very simple thing? When you register to vote, we take your photo and we give you a card.
Yeah, that would make sense. And
like
a person,
like with the driver's license.
I was just saying, a person needs an ID to go to the bank, to go to the doctor. It's not like you're just making them, you're doing them a favor. Yeah. Anyway, Bernie Sanders, the Wisconsin straw poll results out, and 49 Hillary, 41 Bernie Sanders. Now, everybody in the liberal media is playing a game. Everybody that I ask, and I've asked a lot of people, they haven't talked about Bernie Sanders' rape fantasy comments because he's not a serious candidate. Yet at the same time, they keep having him on and having him on and having him on, and his numbers keep going up, as you pointed out, up and up and up. So which is it? Is he not a serious candidate, or are they protecting him?
I think they're protecting him. I think they hate Hillary. I think they should hate Hillary. And come on, what he did 43 years ago is
But it would drive a Republican out if he did. If any Republican candidate who wrote "women want to be gang raped by 3 men at the same time" 43 years ago, he'd be out tomorrow. No,
he didn't say want. He was fantasizing.
All right, but you know what? You don't. So you don't think a Republican with the same exact baggage would be out?
I don't know. But what I want to talk about here is the rise of Bernie Sanders. People have always said there is no alternative to Hillary. Now there is. Not only has he risen in the Quinnipiac poll from 4 in March to 8 in April to 15 at the end of May, but now you have this Wisconsin poll of Democratic delegates, the establishment of the left wing of the party, of course, voting only 49 to 41 for Hillary. I think that Sanders understands how to attack Hillary. You can't, in a Democratic primary, attack her on Benghazi or on emails or on the Clinton Foundation a little bit, but where you really can attack her is from the left. Sanders is for single-payer socialized medicine. Hillary is opposed. Right. Sanders wants to break up the major Wall Street banks. Hillary takes their money and does not. Sanders is against free trade agreements. Hillary supported NAFTA and helped to draft the Pacific Rim Agreement. Sanders supports a $15 minimum wage and a 90% tax bracket. Hillary does not. And on those issues, the left agrees with Sanders. And I think that 1968 is replaying itself.
Yeah, it appears
the role of Eugene McCarthy is played by Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
The role of Robert F. Kennedy is played by Elizabeth Warren. And the role of Lyndon Johnson is being played by Hillary Clinton.
Interesting, very interesting. All right, I want you to hear something. Christie was on Face the Nation yesterday, and he was asked if he was going to run. And he's going to make a decision and an announcement by the end of the month, which leaves him 20 days. And watch this.
It's a linear, evolutionary decision-making process. So I go through all the different factors that I need to consider, and when I'm done, I check that off and I move to the next factor. And the factor I'm down to now, John, is do I want to do it? Do I want to do it? In my heart, is this something that I really absolutely want to do? And if I check that box, then you'll hear me say I'm going to announce for president. And if I don't, you'll hear me say I won't.
How can a man who has been planning on running for president, he even toyed with it the last 4 years ago, certainly in the last 4 years he's been toying, how could, if that's true, that it's not in his heart, he doesn't know if it's in his heart yet, get the heck out.
Well, let me skim over the question as to whether Christie's got one.
Very good.
But if we assume that he in fact has a heart, that he's not the political equivalent of the Tin Man. I think that anytime a candidate tells you, I am 99.9% certain I'm going to do it. I have a little nagging doubt, but 99%, you can guarantee he's not going to run. But when it has never occurred to a candidate not to run, the thought has never entered their mind, except sometimes they had to pretend it was there.
Then they're going.
Then they're going to run.
Yeah.
He's not running.
Yeah, I would agree with you. All right, something interesting
And also,
happened.
by the way, let's just spend a second on his career.
Yeah.
He was losing for re-election as governor of New Jersey. Then he, in fact, almost endorsed Obama for president in the Hurricane Sandy. Single-handedly re-elected Obama. We were leading before then.
Yep.
Then he tried to make us all forget it, and he had his Bridgegate thing, but we didn't forget it, and he's polling terribly. And it's not the heart or the mind, it's something further down that he doesn't have that's stopping him from running.
Oh, all right. It's very interesting. And he'll be meeting you right after the show in the corner.
Right.
Jack Lew, the Treasury Secretary, was speaking here in New York at a function. It was sponsored by the Jerusalem Post, and he was talking about Iran. Let's watch what happened.
Iran remains under enormous economic pressure. It has halted and scaled back key elements of its nuclear program, and we have gained unprecedented insight into Iran's nuclear activities.
Ladies and gentlemen, please let Secretary Lew speak. This is very disrespectful.
I got to tell you, I took heart that there are actually Jews out there who are willing to stand up against what Obama's doing in Iran.
Yeah, or Americans.
Yeah, American Jews, yeah.
I mean, when Iran comes back to the negotiating table and says, we have a framework deal, there are just two minor points. We won't let your inspectors in, and we want all the money on day one.
Right, yeah.
Those might be sticking points.
Yeah.
What I do not understand is with Obama trying to jam this deal through and saying the hell with Congress on 100 different things, why are the Republicans falling all over themselves to give him fast-track authority? Why are they dying in the streets to give Obama this power?
And to a man they consistently say breaks the law and violates the Constitution. It makes no sense. You're right.
And it's not about trade. We have free trade anyway, World Trade Organization.
Dick,
it's
great
about enacting laws by trade agreements.
Absolutely. His book, of course, don't forget the book Power Grab. Go to powergrab411.com and get your copy. Bill Donahue's next. Don't go away.